Yeah, I did one version, so now it's time to do the other one. WWF In Your House for PC CD-ROM MS-DOS. Let's check this one out. Conceived by Acclaim Entertainment back in 1996 as a sequelish spin-off of sorts of the Midway-produced WWF WrestleMania arcade game, WWF In Your House is the subpar knockoff version of an infinitely better video game. And while it would be a stretch to call WrestleMania a great game in any way, shape, or form, it was still an enjoyable little game that was actually pretty decent, given its interesting take on combining the frantic action of sports entertainment with the intense gameplay stylings of Midway's own Mortal Kombat series, for lack of a better generic comparison. Unfortunately, the home ports, try as they could, were unable to truly bring the frantic intensity home, although you get pretty close with the CD-based versions such as PlayStation and PC CD-ROM, and even then the home ports are still pretty playable, well, all of them except for the Super Nintendo version, which is crap thanks to crippling slowdown. But with WWF In Your House, you're essentially getting the video game equivalent of a DVD mockbuster video release from the Asylum, a cheap knockoff product put out solely to capitalize on the success of the much bigger, and sometimes better, hit. And though this might not have been the intention, or maybe it was, who knows what Acclaim, this was certainly the end result. Now there might be the extremely slim chance that you might have seen my review of this game for the Sony PlayStation that I posted back in April of 2011, more or less. And in all honesty, when it came down to doing the eventual video review for this MS-DOS version, I was merely content in saying pretty much the same things that I did there, only with a couple of minor differences here and there, including one that you might be able to make out over the dubbing. But then I sat down and played the game and realized saying the same old thing wasn't going to be enough when it came to this PC CD-ROM MS-DOS version of In Your House. Mind you, In Your House on PC CD-ROM is no different from In Your House on PlayStation gameplay-wise. To recap the gameplay for those of you who don't know, you get to choose from one of 10 WWF Superstars, and from there you get to choose to participate in a WWF season or attempt to challenge for either the Intercontinental Championship or the big one, the World Wrestling Federation Championship belt. Much like in Mania, the game mode determines what matches you compete in, either one-on-one singles matches, two-on-one handicap matches, or three-on-one handicap matches. In the case of the WWF title hunt, you have to fend off against the other superstars in a battle royal. Completing any of these modes will earn you a generic 20-second spotlight video on your chosen superstar. And just to get it out of the way, by the way, the video quality on the MS-DOS version sucks balls. I mean, it's really bad. I had to pull out the PlayStation version to do a double check. Video quality there is actually a bit better than it is here. There's heavy pixelation, the colors are muddy, just terrible stuff. Maybe it's DOSBox that's causing this, but I don't remember video blowing me away back when I bought this brand new many years ago, so yeah, it's pretty bad. But back to the gameplay. So all of these different matches that you're subjected to, with the exception of the WWF Championship Rumble, are contested in best of 3 fall bouts similar to a fighting game. Each of the 10 WWF superstars in the game have a variety of basic wrestling maneuvers, as well as a number of more outlandish maneuvers such as fireballs and weapons that appear out of thin air. If you played the WrestleMania arcade game, it's pretty much the same deal here. They did add power-up icons which have random effects, white icons having positive effects and red icons having negative effects on whoever picks them up. These icons can be turned up on the options along with blocking if you prefer. Much like WrestleMania the arcade game, you could adjust the difficulty of In Your House to suit your skill level. The single matches aren't that troublesome, but the handicap matches will give you a good fight since you have to knock out all of your opponents to advance. The thing is, WrestleMania felt like a more polished video game and had the advantage of offering something different and unique, for the time at least. And for the most part, it worked and offered a fun game to play. In Your House feels rough. It seems like there was an attempt to try and put in more outlandish crap in the game, whether it be more ridiculous special moves, more custom arenas, or custom finishing pins for each superstar, but somewhere along the way they forgot to make the game, well, fun and interesting. So gameplay for the most part is unpolished and uninspired, and won't keep your interest for too long. Gameplay is pretty quick at the very least, I'll give it that much. On the PlayStation version there were occasional bits of slowdown here and there, but I've not come across such cases here. Load times are practically non-existent if you go with a full installation, and for the most part the game moves at a pretty quick pace. In that regard, I can't fault the game for much. The issue lies in the fact that the gameplay itself is not quite up to snuff. And hey, here's a bit of deja vu. Controls are somewhat awkward and at times unresponsive when it comes to doing special moves, sometimes requiring a few tries to pull off before they actually execute. Strangely enough, I've had an easier time pulling off moves from the keyboard rather than any joypad accessories. Go figure. So in some strange way, this DOS version has a bit of an advantage over the PlayStation version because the chances of moves being pulled off here are quite higher than in that version. Faint praise at best, but it is something at least. I guess. I don't know. Let's move on. So while the core gameplay mechanics of In Your House are practically the same thing between the two CD-ROM versions, there's one important difference between the PlayStation version and this here PC version. Chances are you already know it because you kinda sorta hear it in the background. For those of you who need a better clue, here's this 1-second clip. There's actual in-game music. Yes, music plays during gameplay. And sure, it's just the various superstar themes, but sweet little Jimmy, it's better than the dead silence of the PlayStation version. And even better, you could actually pop the game disc into a CD player, and you can play the tracks as you would a regular music CD. So that's your added value with this PC version. A nifty collection of WWF entrance themes to go along with a crummy video game. Nice touch, I suppose. I guess. Aside from that, you have your usual sound effect of uninspired mayhem, your handful of commentary from Vince McMahon and Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, which is a rather odd combination, but whatever. And then there's your occasional superstar taunts. Sounds okay, I guess. Yeah, anyways. WWF In Your House has different stages based on the various superstars on hand. They look alright for the most part. The wrestlers still look like undefinable blobs of pixels and barely recognizable unless you squint your eyes a bit. Upon closer inspection, it seems like none of these characters have any definable faces, just a blank state. Colors look a bit washed out. Generally speaking, the PlayStation version looks a tad better than this DOS version, but again, it's faint praise at best since In Your House is not that great looking of a game to begin with. Just somehow it looks a little worse on the PC, just the way it is, I guess. I suppose. I guess I should probably wrap this up right about now. So the PC version of WWF In Your House is virtually the same thing as the PlayStation version of WWF In Your House. Except this one has music and it plays off an actual CD instead of streaming or whatever they used to do back in the day. So if nothing else, it makes for a pretty decent music CD of WWF entrance themes until you find an actual WWF CD with the music, which is probably preferable so you don't always have to skip that first track of horrible white noise of computer data. As for the game itself, WWF In Your House is just plain bad no matter where you play it. But the DOS version seems to make a turd seem even worse than before. Mind you, the fact that it plays a bit quicker and controls a tad better than its PlayStation counterpart might be slight high points in this version, but the game is marred by muddy video and lackluster visuals. Among other things, all things considered, the fact of the matter is that WWF In Your House feels more like a poor imitation of a popular arcade game than any legitimate attempt at making a proper sequel or follow-up to said arcade game. I could go back and play WrestleMania the arcade game on MS-DOS or PlayStation or even the 16-bit versions and have a grand old time with it because it's still a pretty fun game. I cannot wholeheartedly say the same for In Your House. You know, it's funny, this is the second time I'm reviewing this game, even though it's on a different format. And you'd figure I would have warmed up a little to it after a year of not playing it, but that's just not happening. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Bury whatever urge or impulse you might have to track down a copy of this game, and instead find yourself a copy of WrestleMania the arcade game for any video game console or computer format it's available on, because they are all far superior to the tripe that is WWF In Your House. Well, Super Nintendo might be the sole exception, but the rest of them are better than In Your House. And if you already have a copy of Mania, the arcade game on any of the said released formats, then just play that game a few more times and shield yourself from the knowledge that a crummy follow-up to this game exists. As for In Your House on MS-DOS or PlayStation or whatever, I've got two words for you. Don't bother.